Well, hello and welcome back to the Work Cultured Podcast. We're glad you're with us today. Our guest is Madhumita Bhattacharya, and she is the Human Resources Director for Udemy. And I know they have a much more people-centric job title than that, but that's the one that everybody will understand. So, Madhumita, why don't you tell us what title you actually use and give us a little background on who you are and how you got to where you are?
Thanks for introducing me, Jason. Hi, everyone. Madhumita. I'm the Director of People Partners at Udemy. That's what we call the HR Business Partner role here for G&A and marketing, so all functions other than sales, product, and tech. Um, a little bit about me. I was born and raised in India, born in a small town in India. My dad was in sales, so we traveled around a lot, which really shaped my, I think, childhood and growing up. So I have this lust for new places, traveling, experiencing new culture. I've been lucky enough and blessed enough that I've had the opportunity to see a lot of different cultures. My undergrad is in computer science engineering, but by choice, I moved to human resources because that's the field I loved. I did my master's in HR, joined Procter and Gamble, which is the company that's shaped a lot of my HR philosophies, and it was my learning ground. I learned a lot from amazing leaders there. I had the opportunity to do a lot of very interesting roles there, all primarily in the HR business partner space, but then also a little bit of HR analytics, a little bit of uh, diversity, equality, inclusion programs and projects. I had the chance to do supply chain integration for the Indian subcontinent planning, supply chain planning, demand planning, working very closely with the Cairo team and the Cairo leadership, which was an
Very neat.
amazing experience. I moved to the United States about 9 years back.
Okay.
I had a chance to work in a scientific publishing and tech company called Elsevier, which is big in the scientific publishing space. So I used to partner with the GM for a product there. So that was my first experience in the product space as a business partner. Also for their a huge scientific journal that Elsevier has called Cell Press. That was an amazing leadership team. This was all based out of their Cambridge office, but with kind of global responsibilities. I moved back to Procter and Gamble to support a beauty business, which was going through an M&A acquisition, which was exciting to be a part of. Lots of change management. Never worked in beauty before. It's a very exciting space. I got to work with amazing leaders, a founder. She just seeing her growth journey was so fabulous. Then I throughout my career, I've always tried to make choices where I can learn more and have different experiences. I wanted to experience the tech industry, very different pace, very different, pace at which change happens. Luckily for me, around this time, I got the opportunity to apply for and got into a role in Salesforce. That's what made me move to California. Those were amazing 2 years. Salesforce is an amazing company. Mark Benioff has this amazing vision of what he's got Salesforce to from where he started out. He always has the pulse on where the puck is moving. So it was fascinating being a business partner in the sales strategy enablement space. I also had the opportunity to work with the real estate and workplace teams. So very amazing 2 years that I spent with them. I got to sit out of their, the Salesforce Tower in San Francisco, which is kind of the tallest building in San Francisco. The Ohana
Oh,
floor is
is it?
fabulous. It is.
Okay.
Love that experience. About 8 months back, this opportunity with Udemy came up. It was my first opportunity to work with C-suite leaders. And this is such a fabulous company with an amazing mission, amazing people that I get to work with. And so it was an opportunity, obviously, I could not refuse. That is how I, again, looking for this experience and opportunity to learn, which Udemy gave me, worked with fabulous people, fabulous team. So that's what I've been doing these last 8 months. and hopefully getting to be a tiny part of some amazing work that's going on here.
That is very, very cool. Thank you so much for that background information. So, you said so many things that I'm going to ask questions about, but I can't let you out of the hot seat, right? We have to ask you the same question we ask all of our guests right out of the gate, which is, what is a mistake that you've made in leadership that you feel like you'll never forget?
Ooh, I've made a lot of mistakes, so this is probably
Same.
not the only one, but the one that I do remember. Um, I got into a conversation where with an individual, and this was after I'd received a lot of different feedback from different sources, and and this was all data backed, so this was not like me making assumptions. However, because it was data backed and I'd got kind of input from different stakeholders, I went in with a somewhat of a preconceived understanding of, okay, this is what might have happened. And in doing so, I believe I did not do full justice when I was having the conversation with the person to get in their point of view and give their point of view equal weightage
Mm,
to all that I had heard. And I felt like because after every conversation interaction, I reflect. I'm generally quite hard on myself if I feel like I've not given my 100%. And when I was reflecting, I felt I did not do justice to that conversation. And to me, I, I that it was a mistake, and that I hold very core to my heart, and I learned from it. Obviously, I went back, had further conversations, kind of to make sure that I did not repeat the mistake and gave the individual their own space and was generous with how I interacted and engaged in that situation better. So that I
mm.
always reflect on and I keep in mind, you know, and consider a big mistake.
Yeah, it's really important, and it comes more naturally for some people to make generous assumptions. I didn't used to, and I get to meet Dr. Brene Brown, and she talked about this idea, and like I really related to her because she also it didn't come naturally, but to her husband it did, and she's like, "How do you do that?" And he's like, "Well, I just remember that I life is better when I do. So why would I make a
It's
negative assumption
beautiful.
if it
Yeah.
makes everything worse,
Yes.
And
Yes.
I adopted that as well. Because if you're wrong about your negative assumption, then you've caused harm. If
Yes.
if you're wrong about your generous assumption, you might get let down, but move on.
I love how you phrased it. That's my learning for today.
Well, I'm sure we're going to have plenty of learning moments, mostly from you to us as the audience. But one of the big questions that came to mind is, this Salesforce, 80,000 employees or so, to
Yes.
Udemy, which is still a large
Yes.
company. It's probably what, 8,000, 10,000, somewhere in that range. So about tenth of the size. What are some of the bigger shifts that you see when it comes to culture and your role in creating culture as a people partner?
Ooh, that's such a good question. I think there's a thread of commonality. Let me start with the commonality first. And I think this exists for most business partner roles, which is building trust with leadership, right?
Mm,
Business leaders, especially at the highest levels, those are lonely roles, right? Leaders cannot share everything they want to and everything they think about at every forum or even in many closed forums. So I think that helping build that trust and helping them know that I'm not there to police them. That's not my job. I'm there to be a thought partner and I'm there to help drive impact, which most serves their business. I think that's a
mm,
common thread, whether that's an 80,000 people company or a smaller company, whether that's a manufacturing company or a tech company. I think that's the baseline. I think where the differences lie is pace of change. And I say this fully knowing the pace of change in Salesforce is really, really high as well.
is it okay?
And it's amazing how how Salesforce is able to pivot, understand market conditions, and adjust its products as fast as they do. Having said that, I think it's easier to drive that change when it's a smaller company,
Hmm.
because like any message, any communication moves faster, any decision making, uh, transferring is a lot faster. So for me, that is probably where I see the difference. And also, you only have this when you support C-suite leaders. You see the highest level decision making happening in the room.
Yeah.
And that is something I've always enjoyed. I think the business partners kind of core responsibilities to understand the business and then help navigate. And so that's I think the other piece which really excites me.
Yeah. That's interesting. The difference in the C-suite. I bet you see like a small change from your environment has a ripple effect that's much greater than any change you can really make in the seat at Salesforce or even P&G. That's an even larger company, I think, than Salesforce, right?
Yes, pretty
Yeah.
much similar sizes.
Yeah. So yeah, I bet that's really good for you. Like personally, we talked about before we hit record, we talked about your Aptiv Index profile and you're a
Yeah.
trailblazer. You actually get to have a bigger impact, I imagine, in this role now.
I believe so. I hope so. I believe so. And yes, that does excite me a lot because I think seeing the impact is also faster, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Seeing the impact is for people wired like us and a lot of like founder types, seeing the impact is like one of the most fulfilling aspects of what we do.
Yes.
Uh,
Uh-huh. 100%.
and knowing that we had a hand in it too. That's the other piece. I remember
Yes.
I was at Dell for a hot minute, like about 2.5, 3 years, and but I was in an individual contributor role at first, and I was like, what do you do? I hit a $2 million quota, and I put that up against the billions of dollars of revenue. I'm I'm not going to impact this company at all. Like I could 300% my quota, and it's not going to make any difference to anyone. And I don't know why, but that was just so discouraging. Um, sorry, you were going to say something?
No, I was just going to say,
Yeah.
those are different challenges, I think, in kind of different scales.
Hmm.
And yes, I do see that impact more, I feel like, in companies which are earlier on in their growth journey.
Yeah. The change of pace, or the pace of change, sorry, is an interesting one because you said that Salesforce actually moved pretty quick, which is unusual for a company that size. How about Procter and Gamble? Was it more of a slow moving ship?
Procter and Gamble is, I would say, a very thoughtful company, right? Now, again,
Mm.
it's in a very different business model,
Oh,
right?
totally. Yeah.
And so, changes in that industry happen a lot slower. I don't think it's necessarily Procter and Gamble. It's also a place where I think as a human resource professional, there is so much to learn. Like, it's almost like getting a PhD in HR, like the way change management is handled in Procter and Gamble, how much thought is given to just how to engage, the planning that goes behind it. Like, I'm also somebody who loves planning, and I think, for a long time there, till I think Amazon kind of took over that mantle, P&G was the master class in supply chain planning and in just planning in general. And I think that aspect kind of is there pretty much throughout the company in most things they do. Also, their commitment to their employees. I mean, P&G is best in class. Like, we would always think employees first. The benefits that the company has always been employee first, irrespective of which country. And again, it's present in so many countries the world over. It has like true meaning of globalization is what I saw with P&G and the way it operates across all of these different companies and yet maintains the culture that it has. So it was just a very different experience.
That's really cool. come into your new role, which is
Yes.
now, I mean, not even a year yet. That's always an interesting place to be. Uh, what do you think are going to be some of your challenges as it relates to uh, the culture and impacting culture and creating the value system that you want to see in your department?
I want to start out saying Udemy has an amazing culture. The mission of Udemy of, kind of bringing learning and education the world over. And, what Erin Bali kind of, as the founder, who's now the CTO of the company, kind of built the company around has been fabulous. And it's been great to have this opportunity. Culture is ultimately how a group of people together behave and what are the norms they accept, don't accept, all of it, right? And
Yeah.
that I think changes and evolves and morphs as companies grow. So I think that is a responsibility of every person who works in the company. And so I think our culture is also a reflection of that, and I think it's been amazing in all of the time I've been here, and I continue to see that as one of the bedrocks on which Udemy is built.
Okay. So those are all positives, which is awesome. Have you had any challenges so far in your role, or do you foresee any as this growth continues?
I think what we need to continue to focus on is that we don't lose the culture, right? Because
Yeah.
as growth happens and as change happens, and as we continue to be focused on making sure that we drive value for our shareholders, being very deliberate on how we continue to maintain this culture is, I think, where the focus will continue to lie for Udemy, for all of us as people partners, as leaders in the company, and that is what I think continues to be where our focus is. And Karen, who is this chief HR officer, chief people officer at Udemy, that's where she spends a lot of her thinking around. Also, with how the way AI is changing the tech industry, how
Yeah.
and Udemy being a learning company, we obviously want to be the role models and the flag bearers of bringing AI into learning and augmentation of work. So
Mhm.
how do we kind of navigate and travel on that journey while yet ensuring that we hold on to this amazing culture that we have is, I believe, where our focus will be. I firmly believe culture eats strategy for breakfast. Right, this is
100%.
not my quote at all, Peter Drucker's, but
Yep.
that as we continue to go on the journey of being the number one learning platform, augmenting skills. That's the piece I think we need to continue to hold on to and retain.
Yeah, you mentioned AI and udemy.com. I mean that's the first thing you're going to see. I'm sure that's the hot topic that you're
Mhm.
pushing to your consumers because that's what people want to learn about. On the back end, in your role, HR over marketing G&A, how is AI playing a role in what you do, whether that's hiring, placement, leadership, coaching? Are you using it in any sort of profound ways yet, or are you just kind of getting your feet wet with it?
We've already started using it in many ways. Karen's vision is for us to be our first best customers on AI. And so, the people team's learning journey on AI has already kicked into full gear. In Udemy, we are looking at, in the people operations space, how to use chatbots, self-service models, in kind of how we engage and give the right employee experience. In the recruiting space, how do we augment AI in terms of how we kind of look at resumes, and how do we even look at
Mm,
job requisitions and job profiles and help make the process easier for our hiring managers. We have learning days in Udemy, which which is once a month, and where all of the focus is on how we upskill and up level ourselves on AI. So, working on AI prompts, using AI chatbots, creating our own
cool.
models. So, all of
Yeah.
that is obviously I can't give the details of it, but all of that
Yeah.
is par for course for us.
Yeah, oh, I love hearing that. Yeah, we're seeing AI enter the HR space more and more. Um, because you have to. It entered in first, I think, from the actual consumer side. Like you used to get resumes and they're all unique, and now they're all written by who? ChatGPT. So yeah, now you have to have a whole new way of even filtering out the people that come through the door. But then also, I love that you're talking about the chatbots, creating your own models, and even bringing it into how people interact that already work there. Do you have any examples of where, like, has AI ever been like a good coach for you in the HR space?
Um, so here's where I find AI very helpful. There are a lot of times let's think about the company policy space, right? You have a lot of policies which as business partners we need to interpret and
Mhm.
customize for our functions. Um, as somebody who's still newer in the company, being familiar with all the policies at all levels is sometimes not the easiest. But again, we have platform where and again, I'm being educated in this, as are all of my peers, on how we can use spaces to kind of succinctly understand all of our policies, get summaries for it, and that then helps us interpret it and customize and partner with our businesses to bring that to life. So that's a way in which
Yeah,
AI is quite helpful to me. It's also helpful to me in just summarizing a lot of different meetings, right? Where if I
yeah.
have to take the TLDR, it's easy to do that. And so for me, AI is augmentation.
Mhm.
I do not believe that the key skills, right, as a business partner, being thought partner, being able to, the storytelling of it, understanding data, and AI can help understand data. It is not yet at the place where I believe it can do the storytelling, right? So that's how I see the partnership with AI in our journey as HR leaders.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think HR is probably going to be the last uh, AI takeover department of any company because it is so uniquely human. It's in the name. Marketing and sales, that's going to be tough. And then in the roles that you're overseeing, like you're over finance too and IT, right?
Mm-hmm.
As part of G&A. So yeah, you're going to see, like you said, it's AI is going to augment those departments. It's not necessarily going to replace anyone, but it's going to improve their efficiency, and hopefully give them some extra time in their day, and
Which
let them
is
feel less
what
less
a
worked.
lot of us fully agree with you. And I think that's also a lot of us crave for, right? Like things which are repeatable, things which can do with some more efficiency. I think AI can help us with. And
Mhm.
that frees up our mind space, right? To engage, to see where there is opportunities for scale, do more strategic work, partner in a more effective manner. So yes, I fully agree with you.
Yeah, yeah. When it come, oh gosh, what was I going to ask? There it goes. We went down the rabbit hole of AI, and then my brain just totally went out the window. Oh, you're talking about the policy piece. It's not it's
Yeah.
something I didn't think about that. Even if you had your own like custom GPT where you've uploaded your documentation, and if you have a question, you just go ask, like, what is our policy on this? And it's like an AI search through your entire set of paperwork versus you having to sift through it and find it and interpret it, right? Is that kind of what you meant by the
That is exactly
policy
what I
piece?
meant.
Yeah,
Yes. And I think the other piece, though I do want to also touch upon, is being able to do that in a trusted and safe space.
yeah.
So I think AI with trust is important. I think when we started out in this, when OpenAI first launched and we all started using Chat GPT, that was one of the concerns, and that concern I think still lingers to some extent of all the data going into the ether and then kind of AI interpreting it. That's not what we want, right? We want trusted sources of data within the company, which have kind of tight-lid ways of, conserving it. And within that, AI helping us augment, interpret, understand, etc. So
Mhm.
there is also a responsible way to use AI. And I think that needs to keep being at the forefront. And many thought leaders
Yeah,
across the world are doing that. But even in the HR space, that continues to be very important.
yeah, I agree. Gosh, we've covered a lot here. I want to get to the section where I let you just kind of do a shameless plug. But before we do, is there anything like that you came into this call like thinking, I just really hope I get to talk about this or get to say this? Any golden nuggets for us that come to mind, or are you ready to kind of give us the shameless plug?
I think for me, this is both. And it's not like this is an endorsement of any kind, but I grew up in India. I spent a lot of time, seeing different parts of society and I have a lot of respect for how much our children go through. CRY, which is Children's Rights and You, it was born of a dream to ensure happier childhood for all children. It's an NGO where I give from time to time. It's an Indian NGO touching about 4.7 million children and trying to improve their lives. I
Wow,
just wanted to showcase, they did not tell me to showcase them in any way. I just wanted
I
to
love
showcase
that.
them.
Yeah, and
In
what
case
and what is
that,
that?
yeah.
What is that called? How would we find more information about that?
It's called CRY, so cry, and that's Children's Rights and You. I can send you a link of their website if you feel that would be
Okay. Yeah, it looks
helpful.
like cry.org is how to find that, it looks like.
Cry.org. Yes, that's
Yeah.
it.
And there's also cryamerica.org. Very cool.
Yes.
Um, yeah, thanks for that shout out. That's something to check out later. Okay. Well, and then also, I mean, Udemy is a fantastic platform for learning, whether
It
it's
is, yes.
AI, IT, business strategy, even leadership skills are part of that. And I'm sure so much more. Um,
Yes.
so yeah, that's awesome. All right, you ready
And
for the? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think Udemy globally, not just from an enterprise standpoint, but there's also a D2C version of Udemy, which is how, in the initial times as Erin was setting it up, it was a lot about helping people build their skills. And that's still a big part of Udemy, the consumer business. And that is something I'd encourage everyone to check out. And if learning cooking or learning painting, all of those are also
Hmm.
options you have on Udemy. Of course, corporate learning is a big part of it.
Okay. Um, that's awesome. I hope that our listeners, watchers, go and check that out for sure. You ready for the quick fire, the this or that?
Yes, let's do it.
All right, we'll start you off easy. Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Okay. Are you a night owl or a morning person?
Morning person.
Okay. Let's see if I can go cultural. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but naan or roti?
Naan, especially with garlic and butter on it.
Okay. Uh, I would say, India or America, but I don't want to make you choose there. That'd be just mean.
Uh,
Uh, you're in San Jose, so I think I already know the answer, but country or city?
City. I am in San Jose, but I am a city girl. I love going to San Francisco. When I was in Boston, that's a beautiful city. So, anyway, that was not quick fire, but city.
Oh no, I love it. I love it. Um, gosh, what's one more? How about sprint or marathon?
Ooh, marathon.
Oh yeah. Are you a runner?
I am a runner. Also, I'm bad at sprinting.
I hate running. I hate the slow jog. I'll go 90 feet as fast as I can and I'm done. That was a great episode. Thank you so much. Uh, we've had the pleasure of talking to Madhumita Bhattacharya of Udemy. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
So much for having me. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much. And to all the listeners, thanks for tuning in to the Work Culture Podcast. We will see you next time.